Hi, Ace Detective. Are you here for more books?
Hello again, esteemed officer.
This bookstore is not strictly about crime, romance, and biographies of famous people. There's also a wide range of paranatural literature.
Sir, please, no browsing in that shelf. That wisdom is not for free. I can't have you end up, like, opening a police store next door and stealing my customers. Oh, no.
Several maps have been attached to a bulletin board hidden inside the alcove. They're held up by small pins. The maps look old and faded. Your eye catches a map of Insulinda, a map of Revachol, and a map of Martinez.
Map of Martinez. This could work, maybe.
Always good to be informed of your surroundings.
The maps look old and faded. This bookstore is not...
Indeed. Something about that book does seem to have spoken to you. Well, I hope it contains what you're looking for.
Shelves full of biographies of famous people, whoever they are.
I would say... The Greatest Innocence. Yes, most certainly. It's an important educational tool delving into the depths of history, religion, and their relation to innocentic power. A very influential historical figure, but surely I don't have to tell you that. You're a law officer, and law officers have at least some education. The book is also very daring. The author aims to re-examine the universal understandings of the innocentic system, creating a fresh vantage point and a shift in the tired order of things. Perhaps for a layman, deep analysis is necessary to peel back the multi-layered meanings. Certainly, it's prudent for a person to have at least an elementary understanding of history and society. Imagine the chaos we'd be in otherwise.
You feel like you should get this one. Definitely. It's important somehow. There's something personal inside.
A true cultural touchstone. Enjoy the read.
Shelves filled to the brim with crime novels featuring the supposedly stalwart Vespertine detective, Dick Mullen.
Oh, crime, robberies, murders, even sexual crimes. We're fortunate to have Dick Mullen and his stories to sort all that out. You're a police officer, apparently. You should buy all of these. They really do teach a person how to be a proper detective.
Note, reading about Dick Mullen would not actually make you a better detective. Crime fiction is a disgrace. An asinine misrepresentation of the physical attributes of the arduous everyday work of actual police officers. These books greatly overstate the excitement of police work, glossing over how long it takes to actually follow up on leads and eliminate dead ends. What's more, they completely ignore the psychological hardships of year after year coming into contact with people during the worst days of their lives. Not a single mention of all the stress this work creates upon the officer's family. Detective fiction just doesn't tell the truth at all. Now, would you like a list of all the books found on the shelf? You see, Dick Mullen on the job. Get Me Mullen. The Stalwart Adventures of Richard P. Mullen. Dick Mullen and the Murder in the Orchard. The Sordid Affair of Dick Mullen. A killing is declared. Dick Mullen in the Murder House. The Final Case of Dick Mullen. An Obvious Lie. Dick Mullen in the Clock Tower. The Ordeals of Dick Mullen. Dauntless Dick. Dick Mullen's funeral pyre. The murder of Dick Mullen. Yes, there's also the dame who did it. Farewell, my Mullen. Faking death seems to be a common trope in the Mullen series. The morbid tales of Dick Mullen. A dark tide turns. Tragedy calls for Dick Mullen. Another one with fake death. And, of course, Dick Mullen, the murderer. In order to catch a murderer, Dick Mullen must become the murderer. After all this, you still haven't found the answer to the one question that matters. Who is Dick Mullen? Shelves filled to the brim with crime novel, your quick eye notices a small caterpillar crawling across the spine of a book. The title reads, Dick Mullen and the Mistaken Identity. A worn paperback from Dick Mullen's classic hard-boiled phase. The premise seems to be that Dick Mullen is framed for the murder of his best friend and has just a few days to prove his innocence. Could it be the motifs of unstable identities and shocking betrayals? Then this is the book for you.
Of course.
A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all ages. A lot of shelf space seems to be taken up by Wirral-related merchandise.
Wonderful board games, sir. The Viticulturist is a classic for sure, or perhaps you'd like Archipelagos of Insulinde, a very educational game for those interested in geography. Raubritter is a fun game of economic competition, but can get quite intense after a while. We have games for the whole family. You can play with your children.
Who are you going to play board games with? Do you have friends or family? Are you actually friends, or just colleagues thrown together by circumstance?
Don't be so hard on yourself, sir. You just need to clean up a bit. And technically, friends are a bit like family. For playing with friends, I'd recommend Suzerainty. It's a civilization building game where you build a civilization, then set off to brutally colonize and repress other civilizations. It'll cost 12 real. Lousy auras there. No, role-playing games are popular among those types. You know, who are into those kind of things. Personally, I don't like it. Not at all. I've heard they turn people into occult enthusiasts. That they have rituals where they try to summon entities. Highly immoral stuff. You can still buy them, though.
An endless variety of source. There's also a large hardbound tome with intricate cover art, The Hunters of Katawak, Boreal Creature Compendium, and a Pick Your Path adventure gamebook titled Tales of Wirral. Cover a towering mountain of colorful board game boxes. The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks featuring an extremely muscular, sword-wielding barbarian on the cover. Nearly all the titles contain the word Hyundal, mountains of it, heroic quantities of Hyundal. Roy's puny shirt is nothing compared to the real deal. The display rack is brimming with worn paperback. The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks. Feature a twinge at the back of your head makes you flinch. Your eye starts twitching. Your hand reaches toward a book with glossy cover art of the very muscular man from Heelmdal in chains, kneeling in front of a staircase leading to a throne. A woman sits on the throne, leering at the man. She's laughing at him, belittling him. Between the throne and the Heelmdala man lies a bonfire, casting shadows on the wall. The shadow of the woman's headdress looks like a pair of devil horns. The title reads, Man from Heelmdal and the Devil Woman. The display rack before you is burdened under piles of Man from Heelmdal novels.
It is a bestseller for a reason.
The worn map features the patchwork grid of the streets of Martinez, with directions to appropriately touristy locations. Year 48 resides on the upper right corner. Your finger moves through the various streets, across Rue de Saint-Ghislain and Rue Saint-Sipar, over Saint-Brun and Martinez North. Finally, coming to a halt on the spot where you are currently standing, although the map gives no such indication itself. There it is again, the scent of apricots with a touch of cinnamon. Smells like the end of some distant summer, the surface of another planet, or some ancient temple. An intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso of the hang. It's still kind of... The ship takes off like a silvery mosquito, unfolding its rotor blade arms. She mumbles reading, then puts down the soft cover.
Yes? Hello? Me? No one. I'm just a working class woman.
She doesn't really want to be disturbed that much. If she's such a working class woman, why isn't she working?
Not all the time. Right now I'm browsing books. Even a working class woman needs something to read. It is. I know you are.
Everyone can see that. The rectangles.
Mm-hmm. What with?
What with? A lot of things. For example, people tend to go missing. Her hands move over the book covers. The tips of her fingers look rough, stained with yellow. It seems like she has spent a lot of time at work, smoking.
My husband? No, he's not. I don't know. At home now? Out drinking with his friends? Working?
Where is this going, officer?
Yes, but... I don't really need to know where my husband is. Not all the time. No. Why are we still talking about this? I haven't lost my husband.
She has, though. The husband is totally lost. You should tell her that it's okay.
What? Who said anything about shame? Stop talking down to me. My husband is not missing.
But he is. You can feel it. Or maybe it's something else then.
No, absolutely not. Are you a policeman or a nanny? They are not missing, sir.
What if something horrible has happened? What if they're dead? That's the bad vibe you got before. No, they're at a disco, getting down. Stupid disco dancing teenagers.
What? That's just... My daughters are perfectly fine. They're with their friends down in Shamrock. There's nothing to worry about.
She's getting upset. Her voice has risen as she tries to convince herself that her daughters are safe.
They're almost grown up now anyway. They're past the age they need me protecting them from everything now. My youngest girl, Jolie, is just shy of 16. Jenny, she is turning 18 next month. But we shouldn't even be talking about them. Why do you need to know this? Haven't I repeatedly told you that they're not missing? That they're in Shamrock, safe and well, at some stupid party? There is no investigation here. I can tell you that.
Okay, it must be asked then. What are you doing here? Why are you pursuing this? Is it a hunch?
I don't mean to disrespect, sir, but you are being a bit of a cockatoo here.
For what it's worth, I agree. But cockatoos can't be stopped when they get ladies. It's better to indulge him at this point.
I don't even have a cockatoo. And guess what?
It's a trap. Never ever say what.
Great. Nothing. Go read up on them if you're so interested. There's a great book in the bookstore.
Maybe you should. What if the cockatoo is your astral captain? Or your heraldic bird?
Wonderful. The store is open.
The woman before you nods and returns to her reading.
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of... A book about cockatoos? There should be one upstairs, right next to the shelf of biographies.
A sulfur-crested cockatoo sits on the cover, its beak slightly open. It looks as if the bird is calling out the book title. Turns out that there are so many different cockatoo species, and they all have behavioral problems. You don't have behavioral problems. That's garbage. You're cool.
It's a must-have if you own a cockatoo. I've heard they're quite capricious. Oh, a nature enthusiast. Good choice. I knew it was a good idea to keep that around.
The woman before you. There, working class drunk. You know what this means, right? Cracked it. All in a good day's work. What do you mean, what did I crack? Look at how working class that drunk is. No. Stop goofing around, recruit. Yes, and you found him. Now go and tell the working class woman. Protect and serve, recruit. Didn't she repeatedly tell you her husband isn't missing though? But he is missing. You heard her, the worry in her voice. There's no need for champagne when there's honor, recruit. Go and tell the working class woman what you found, right now.
The purity of snow always reminds me of the purity of a man's soul, if he's got principles.
It is such a pleasure to see you again, officer. How may I head the citizens' militia on this fine day?
The purity of snow always reminds me of the purity. The purity of snow always reminds me of the purity of a man's soul. If
Go long, go deep, go unconventional.
Sure, officer. Let's hear your take. I'm not following you.
He'll get it. Don't worry. Just continue. He's gonna be impressed. The man stares at you, silently frowning. Doesn't look like he's imagining it. The carabiner crosses his arms and spits in the crater.
You're talking about getting blackout shit-faced drunk and going into delirium, right?
The lieutenant looks up from his notes and nods to the old carabiner.
How so, then?
His tone is like that of a drill sergeant addressing new recruits. The lieutenant sighs audibly, but keeps his eyes on the notebook.
And I thought getting my knee shattered and surviving on rat carcasses in the trench was bad. Here, have one of my medals. You've earned it, officer.
Your sarcasm will be your undoing, old man. Extremely rigid principles this old soldier has. Don't leave room for a change of heart or backing out. The medal is yours.
Can we get back to our game now?
He mumbled. You certainly had me fooled. This feels honorable. You did the right thing not taking the medal. The good thing. Your chest is buzzing with pride. Feels as though you should do more honorable things. as if there's some kind of a secret reward if you just commit enough honorable acts.
God damn it, I already told you. My husband isn't missing. And I specifically added that I didn't need to know where he was. Very well then. Where is he? Excuse me?
There's something else hiding in her voice, though. A trace of worry.
Right, 'cause working class women come with alcoholic husbands.
Remember, about that what. Never ever say what.
You were right. I do have an alcoholic husband. Although not that one.
Ah, blam. Knew it.
I did, and he is. He's also an alcoholic. No, he's not. Or maybe he is, I don't know. He's probably in the park or in Shamrock somewhere, drinking with his friends. I haven't seen him for... Well, to hell with him.
There. She's worried now. She sighs, but you can detect a slight hint of gratitude and relief from her face.
All right, go ahead. Do you have any questions? Honestly, not that different from you. Oh, thank God, no. It hasn't come down to this yet. Well, he's slightly chubby. What else? He was wearing a dark brown leather jacket with a bright blue inner lining. The lining is hand-sewn. I made it myself. It's his cool jacket. God knows it's too cold to run around in this, but he refuses to change.
Who cares about the cold when you have your cool jacket to wear? You can completely sympathize.
I even tried throwing it away once, but he just dug it out of the bin. Can you believe it? Well, what can you do? I hope that at least that extra lining helps him keep warm at night. I wouldn't like him to catch cold.
She's thinking about him out in the cold, in some park, or on the coast. And it's making her more and more worried.
Yesterday morning, he went to the library. He went to retrieve my book, and he promised he'd walk straight back home. Because we talked about this. We talked about not wandering off again. I don't know what to do. I honestly don't know what to do with his addiction. Just makes me feel weak.
Gone for around 36 hours then. Damn, this is a missing persons case. She turns away from you in an attempt to recover.
So you are going to look for him?
She genuinely wants you to now. Don't make her ask.
Thank you. Please do. Even though I'm sure he will return home by himself. I'm still sure of that.
She tries to maintain a brave front, even though her eyes reveal the opposite.
I'm sure he will too. When he does, would you let Precinct 57, Kim Kitsuragi, know?
I will, of course, officer. As I said, it's probably nothing. Right. What about...
She gives you a short nod before returning to her books. This coin-operated viewer is facing southwest. Its coin slot is full of fossilized bubblegum, rendering the machine permanently inaccessible.
Probably some kids.
A simple but clever solution to ruin in a coin-operated viewer. It took ingenuity. This coin-operated viewer is facing south. It has given up all its secrets. There seems to be a sunken sea fort on the islet in the bay. Your money disappears into the coin slot. A clunk, the ring of metal. The curtains on the display open. You lean in to catch the view. It's blurry, different blues and greens. In the middle of the shimmer stands a drab grey shape, like a ghost. The lenses shift. The ghost sharpens into an islet in the bay. In the ruins, a man-made structure is visible, a half-sunken sea fort, its concrete almost reconquered by nature. It looks as if it was abandoned quite some time ago. Nothing but a rotten tooth remains of the anti-aircraft tower. A lonely birch tree grows out of it. Its leaves ripped from it by the winter wind. This coin operates. Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here.
That's one brutal motor carriage.
If I were a real skull now, I'd jack it, paint it in palm tree livery, then bottom light it, neon style.
A snazzy shit-ripped skullmobile like this would make a fine trophy. We could, like, hang fucking shrunken heads from the side mirrors. Cops' heads. Scary tribal shit.
Yeah, tribal shit. A cop carriage like this would have proper skull value.
While I appreciate the interest you take in my brutal motor carriage, I have to stop you right there. The RCM takes threats directed at its property seriously.
It's just theoretical work, Copper. No basis in reality. Man, if we were certified skulls right now...
I can tell you who we're not, cop. We're not snitches or skulls.
Which is not to say that the skulls are bitches and... On the contrary.
The part of this presentation you want to take home with you, cop man, is we're not part of the skulls yet.
Okay then, let's indulge in some intellectual exchange. These young men seem eager to share their beliefs.
You don't know? What kind of cop are you?
It's not a question. Don't get into it.
The question was rhetorical. The Skulls are the most vicious gang of the Besmertne.
Besmetine, or the Besmeti, the Immortals, are West River Sholian crime syndicates.
The nastiest bunch of psychos ever. Jacking carriages and getting into high-speed chases.
Possessing an infinite amount of fuck-all swagger, infamous for their non-verbal modus operandi.
They usually occupy the burnt-out quarter in Jamrock, or you can find them loitering around their brightly painted bottom-lighted vehicles.
I can't wait to become a skull. Bottom lights are wretched aggressive.
No, they really aren't. It's porno tuning. Say no to the porno.
Murder?
Yeah, sure. We'll gladly tell you everything we know about it. It was a man.
Also, he was hanged. He was hanged from a tree.
Yeah, I mean, duh.
These punks don't know anything. Let's just move along.
Hey, stop right there. How does one know anything?
Ah, this sounds like epistemology, a field so occupied by thought that it begins to question thought itself.
Exactly. How can one know shit? For example, how can one be sure that there truly is a body hanging behind a hostel?
What if it's art? Or just a mere specter?
No reply. The blonde rebel scratches his chin, deliberately not focusing his gaze on anything.
Oh yeah, Cindy's a right proper skull.
Yeah, a true artist of the future. Just like Arno van Eyck.
By the way, if you see Cindy, give her our regards.
For all their nihilistic posturing, these young men are not lacking in youthful idealism. Odd, there isn't a hint of hate in them. It's like they're piss and fuck the world out of some kind of moral obligation. The lieutenant on your left is unusually lenient toward them.
Oh man, yeah. We're not fucking kids, man.
Be wary of the abyss.
It's a threat. An impotent threat of violence.
Whoa. Come on, man. We're just talking here. Just words. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no need to throw your authority in our faces.
That's right. Way to put them in the little boy's corner.
You wanna talk? Let's talk, boys. Ask them.
He liked how you decisively shut down a situation that could have turned into a farce.
The Union does their share of policing in Martinez, at least where gangs are concerned. That's why there isn't much organized crime around here.
Apart from the unions themselves, of course.
Don't you worry about that. We're gonna make up for the deficit.
Yeah, we are. We're not franchise skulls. Well, not yet. Once we get our name out there, we'll have a chance to join them. Because we can be just as psycho and vicious. You'll see.
But in a non-threatening and definitely legal way.
We'll fuck the system from the inside later. Just be cool now. The damage will be tenfold.
Right on, fuck. So what's happening now? Mm-hmm. What about them?
Like I said before, many men keep searching for the one, for so-called true love, which is actually just obsession masquerading as kinship. The thrill of the chase, the hollowness that fills your chest cavity after catching it. To catch a fish, you'll need to hurl the lure many times, and even then it isn't certain that you'll get anything. If you blow up the lake, though, you get more fish in a shorter time. And, for time is of the essence and fleeting ever so quickly, one must think of a way to fuck the whole world and not get caught up in fucking someone. Because when one fucks everything, he fucks nothing. And that, to me, feels glorious. Sticking your dick into the void.
Hate to admit it, but in a weird way, he's got a point.
Well, first off, it's a statement and not necessarily something that characterizes me as a person, even though the statement has character. And I do like piss. The word piss epitomizes the struggle taking place in the world. Things being defined as they seem, not as they are. And, I guess, it's also about communal spirit, the future, and truly appreciating our differences. Also, you've got to admit, it catches the eye. And since the Grand Piper is slowly but steadily moving towards basing the economy on it, attention, it is imperative that the medium itself convey the message. What I mean by this is, we are all pissed, and that the world is inherently meaningless.
It seems that the young man has a certain expertise in at least one field, even if it's rather narrow. Is it a coincidence that here we have two badass jackets and two badass cops?
Yes? Leather jackets adorned with immature writing? The ideology they convey helps the boys justify poor choices in life and fashion. I'm not a fan. What are you implying? No, I don't. What are you implying? Neither. Fine, if only to end this discussion. Theoretically, if I were a juvenile delinquent, if I were to already be down that path, I think peace is the stronger of the two statements. Seems about right, especially considering your heroic exit attempts.
That's an origin story for a dynamic duo right there.
So are we done here? Or you don't need us around for your secret whisper party, do you?